Hi, I'm Tony De La Rosa. For this edition of Keeping Faith, we're in St. Louis, site of this year's Big Tent Gathering and next year's General Assembly. Together, we're learning as Presbyterians about the complex issues of race and reconciliation post-Ferguson. In the aftermath of a fatal shooting of a Ferguson black teenager, Michael Brown, by a white police officer, churches in the Giddings-Lovejoy Presbytery are finding new ways to confront and engage in the work of racial justice.
The first Sunday after Michael Brown was killed, it was the next day, and it was my third Sunday in the pulpit here. We immediately started talking about police violence and white supremacy and white privilege and racism. And those are hard things to talk about in church.
There was a lot of pain, both expressed on the streets and in the churches.
And so I think Ferguson helped to actually shift the conversation that we were having internally to focusing more intentionally on race and the way that it operates systemically.
Fortunately, our partners at MCU and Brittini created a curriculum around it, and we had facilitated guided conversation with trained facilitators.
We created Sacred Conversations on Race Plus Action as a tool to help facilitate some of those beginning conversations around how do we define racism, how do we understand white privilege.
I then challenge folks to say that, but the systems are set up differently for you and me. I have a biracial child. When she and I walk into the Family Dollar, I am left alone. She is approached at the door and asked to leave her backpack there. We're from the same family, we have the same income, but she is treated differently because of how she looks.
The system that we are living in right now is a system built by and for white people. With the death, murder of Mike Brown, people had to face that reality, that we continue to disenfranchise and discard black and brown lives in this country.
Whose fault? I think the only way I can give an answer to that is to say that it's all of our faults. You know, it's the thing that haunts me. Did I say enough? Did I do enough? Have I made any difference, you know, in the words that I've said? Or have my words just flown empty?
I think that's where the common work is, in actually understanding that each of us, regardless of race, we have a stake in either continuing things as they are or in dismantling and creating something that moves us closer to what King called the beloved community.
Oak Hill Presbyterian Church has been a key partner in the PCUSA's new Hands and Feet initiative through its Amen House St. Louis ministry. The initiative is designed to teach participants how to facilitate change and communicate God's love in neighborhoods throughout the country.
The genesis of Hands and Feet came from my experience in Portland, Oregon at the last General Assembly. I'd never seen that many white people homeless in one place in my entire life. It was baffling to me. I really got a chance to understand the depth of homelessness through a different set of eyes. But the question I had to raise was whether or not we as a church have a very different type of role when we come to these cities. Do we have any real responsibility to doing something toward transforming that particular community? And so coming into St. Louis, it was clear to me that we needed to see how that could be done.
And so when J. Herbert came up with the idea of Hands and Feet, one thing we were clear about is it was an opportunity to put faith into action, and that we had the congregations already here that were doing work that could be highlighted, that others can learn about and then take back home to their own communities.
We were one of the first groups that got to stay at the Amen House, and we spent a week working at soup kitchens and food pantries. We worked at a community garden out in Giddings, which is fairly close to Ferguson. Then on the way back, we chose to drive down Kings Highway, and Kings Highway runs north-south, and it crosses over the Del Mar Divide here in St. Louis. There's a place on Del Mar where over just crossing one street, it changes from lighted houses and rundown factories and abandoned buildings to beautiful stone churches and wonderful businesses. And so once we got back to the Amen House, it's like, so what'd you all see? And they're like, it switched. It switched really super fast. And I was like, why? Why do you think? Students are willing to ask questions. They're willing to have conversations that sometimes adults are scared to venture into. If we're going to see reconciliation, it's going to come through the work of our youth.
Between now and next year's General Assembly, Presbyterians are being encouraged to engage in a hands and feet mission and ministry project around St. Louis and the Giddings-Lovejoy Presbytery. For additional resources on racial justice and reconciliation, go to facing-racism.pcusa.org. Thank you for joining us for Keeping Faith. May the peace of the risen Christ be with you always. We leave you now with some of the music put together by the Big Tent Community Choir under the direction of Mr. Paul Vasile.
We like to say that we're very diverse, and we like to, and we do have actually wonderful resources, even our new hymnal, that move us towards singing with the global church. What we've not done a good job of, I think of, is actually inviting leaders from other cultural traditions, from other spaces into our church to be their very best. The hope was that here at Big Tent we could actually offer something different. And so by putting them in places of leadership, by asking them to lead the congregation's song and giving them my support and my encouragement and giving my authority away, we're giving our authority away to others to share in our leadership, to grow and to deepen our relationships with each other and with music and other cultures.